Okay, welcome, beautiful folks. My name is Christina Amon, and I am really looking forward to sharing stories today. So, stories and solutions. We are a collective called the Regenerative Roundtable, and we come together every Monday to have conversations that can help move us forward into the world that we really want to see, the world that we are creating, the world that we want to pass on to future generations and feel really proud and good about that. So here we are coming together to weave and weave more people in, more solutions, more perspectives. Every week there's a new angle and a new piece of the puzzle that comes into focus. And today we're going to be sharing about total transformation as our theme for today. And that's really from the personal to the planetary. And within the personal, it's from, on a cellular level, we're going to talk about that transformation that we experience all the way up through the emotions, the mental, the spiritual, and how that's also woven into the financial personal transformation and how that really opens up opportunities for us to become pillars. Pillars to me are the ones who can stand upright, clear, steadfast to hold space for others. And that's something we're going to dive into today some more on this theme of total transformation. So right now we're in times that are highly transformative, right? Drop a 2 in the comments if you're feeling that. And that comes with all sorts of emotions. It's exciting, it's nerve-wracking, it's also encouraging, and it's also hard. It's challenging, it also means suffering. It means facing hard things within ourselves if we have the tools and we have the support to look at that. And if we don't, it can just mean like hitting up against a wall kind of suffering and really not knowing how to cope or fit in or make things work or get food on the table. So there's the whole spectrum of what we're looking at, and that's why I keep getting this calling to really be able to show up as pillars. And what I see in this community here, in this movement that we're a part of, is that we have all of the tools in place to support ourselves to really become those pillars if we choose to be, if that's our desire, and then to turn around and help others do the same. So let me get a little specific here about what I'm talking about. On a broad scale, as a global economy, generally speaking, we don't live any longer in societal structures and economic systems that are supporting the general public, right? Just as a kind of a blanket statement, most people, there's all kinds of statistics. The average United States citizen is, what is it, $400 or $500 away from a financial catastrophe or bankruptcy. Most people, if they were, slapped with some sort of extra hospital bill or some unexpected thing, would just collapse in what they're able to just show up for. Now that's pretty baseline survival, because the kind of world that I'm part of envisioning and co-creating is one where it's not just about survival, but that one where people can really flourish in their lives. And so now I'm going to tell a little bit about my story. I just came off of a weekend I spent with my husband. My parents had our kids, and I mean, we kind of wove in and out of hanging out with each other. But what I hadn't experienced in a really long time was just spending time as a couple. And this is really common, again, in the United States and globally, where once we become parents, We're busy running our businesses, we're taking care of the children, we have projects, we have to take care of our own bodies and minds and spirits and all of that. And so making time for marriage is challenging. It's just challenging to even make the time, let alone what you're going to do with the time to keep it juicy and alive and connected and relaxed and really feeding into everything that we're doing. And so we found ourselves in that place years ago where we had multiple businesses and projects and kids and developing a farm and trying to make all the financial equations meet and all of that. And it really wasn't, to be able to, we were doing the farm work, raising the capital for the farm, raising our children, raising our own consciousness, other businesses. We were just getting really spread thin and burnt out and depleted. And if you've been there, if you know that feeling of like, I'm trying to do all the things to just hold together a family and our life's purpose, and it's just feeling like a big fail. Drop a 6 in the comments. Like, you're not alone. This being human is quite a wild journey. So we found ourselves in that place I'm a very optimistic person, so I could always paint the picture like life is great, everything's working out fine, we have our beautiful kids and our gardens and our marriage and all these things happening. But when I allowed like the truth to just really settle in and the nervous system to really just kind of drop in and get grounded and be real, it wasn't working and it didn't feel good and it wasn't fun and it wasn't juicy and it wasn't relaxed and it was tense, like things were just getting wound up. Which I personally believe a big part of being human in these times is giving ourselves the opportunity to do healing from lifetimes ago, from generations back. So if we're just adding to the problem, we're not making that progress that really we're here to do. And so I see a world where humans are supported to do that work, to not keep twisting it tight, but to actually be resourced, to have the time, the space, the tools, the community, the relationships, the nourishment, the clean air, the clean water, all of the things to unwind, to really just open up our beings, to release the fight, flight responses, to recognize like, hey, I'm safe now. So let's start rebuilding. Let's start rebuilding a safe and a new way. And that to me is how we create this world that so many of us are envisioning. This world where humans are thriving on all the levels, where there is no dis-ease because our birthright is to live healthy and our planet is in balance and we're using our resources in a very harmonious way, and we are in reciprocity with all of our relations, and we're looking deeply and owning and taking responsibility for the wounds and the baggage and the things that we might be carrying so that we're not spilling it out onto other people. And so doing this work on our own, but bringing together a collective, because this is massive work. And as I said, as a planet right now, we are moving. I really feel that the acceleration of transformation is reaching such a speed that we need all hands on deck, and we need all the allies to support us with this transformation. So to kind of finish up my story a little bit and then get into how we do this as a collective, um, after years of trying to do it all ourselves and, probably on some level, the ego, like carrying the flag of like, yeah, we're, lone wolf, we're doing it. Just recognizing like, this is not working. I need help. I remember standing at the edge of the stream that we live on and just yelling, help. Like, I just felt my life falling apart and I didn't know who to turn to. It was just the big void, like, help, somebody help. And right around that same time, I was introduced to this movement, this community, this path that is part superfoods, part financial transformation, huge community, family major personal evolution and self-growth tools and resources. And all of it combined together, mentorship, I was really able to, get over first all my blocks and skepticism, of course, at first, like, what, huh? No, what? No, that's not me. And then kind of unpacking it and realizing, okay, this is the answer to that prayer. This is the answer to that help that I literally voiced. And the reason that it was a solution for me is on all the levels. So first, although I thought I'm healthy, I grow my own food, I already eat organic, this is probably for mainstream people, the superfoods blew me away. Within days, I felt a level of deep nourishment I had never felt in my entire life. And I've done all the different diets and ways of eating. I had never felt that. And I've just continued to feel that 5 years into it. And the reason is because of the soils that these foods are grown in are so highly mineralized, so highly regenerated. Input, nutritive input is constantly being put back into the soils. They're watered with spring water, the water's tested, everything is tested for any possible trace contaminants of any kind. And they're low temperature dehydrated, so packing in maximum nutrition and enzymes. So when you add the water, it becomes a living food again. So this was something I hadn't ever experienced, and I just continued to feel better. Brain fog cleared, and my emotions, my heart opened, my emotions became balanced. I had sort of been living with and accepting like a mild depression and anxiety is just a common part of being a mother, I suppose. But I suddenly had all this energy, and I just would wake up like ready to like start my day with excitement and joy. And I watched skin issues clear up. I watched digestive issues clear up. I watched joint achiness clear up. I just felt like this youthful, springy, full of energy, but strong and grounded and powerful being. And that's feels like home. That feels like who I really am. So it felt like a homecoming. And I've watched this with thousands of other people. And so I know that these products are a huge part of this global shift. I know that these products have come to us in these times to help purify the cells and activate the cells and literally even do DNA repair and activation. So we are waking up our entire beings as we come into this path with these superfoods. Now you're eating other foods too. This is not like, we're not just like ETs living on superfoods. I mean, some people probably do, and I have had periods of time. um, but mostly this is, just incorporating and bringing in all of that fresh and local abundance of where you live, and working on supporting our local farmers and regenerating soils there as well. So it's a little bit about our superfoods. We're going to hear some more from other voices. I'm on a roll. Thank you for your patience. And then just to complete the part of my story that I want to share, and the reason that I was able to have this time with my husband is because financially what we've been able to do by sharing our story just like this, by talking to friends and family, by expanding our network, and like mycelium, connecting with other hearts who are also sharing their story and connecting, we've been able to grow an income over the past 5 years that has completely transformed our financial reality, like completely. Last year, our organization did over 3.5 million in sales, and we are clearly funding the farm, upgrading our quality of life, prioritizing family play, prioritizing time together. And best of all, my husband was able to walk away from most of the hours. He used to work like 80-hour weeks, just insane. And he's down to a day and a half a week of work, which means that he's now unwinding, he's playing, he's recreating, he's a paraglider, he's sleeping, he's relaxing, and we are hanging out as a married couple with all kinds of flutters and spark and joy, just discovering this new chapter of our marriage. And as much as our kids are like, go away, I know that they're benefiting from our, renewed love and connection in their own way because they're also just really thriving right now. And that's ultimately like what this is all about for me personally is our family and how we can support others. So without further ado, I'm going to bring on a dear friend of mine, Leah. I hope that we still have time. I hope that you still have time. I know you have to pop off, but I love you. You're incredible. I see you as somebody who really has always had a foot in both worlds, right? A foot in this kind of crazy, chaotic world that we live in now where things don't really make sense, and a foot in this world that we're visioning, this world of peace and harmony and thriving and joy and pleasure. And you're just an extraordinary human. You have incredible nurturance for so many people. You're a holistic healthcare practitioner, you're a mama, you're fun, I love you, and we're here to hear your story.
Thank you so much, Christina. Yeah, and it brings me so much joy to hear you and Soul having a whole weekend together. And it brings tears to my eyes because I've witnessed you in your journey for 15, 16 years now. And you are such a huge inspiration to me all the time. And to know that your love is reblossoming and connecting is such a beautiful gift. Yeah, because I know what you've been through. So, yeah, what brought me here? So many things. And I'm so grateful to be part of this community and so many of my prayers answered. I grew up like eating regular chemical laden food that I had no idea was chemical laden until I became a vegetarian at 14. And my parents made me read about how I could be a healthy vegetarian. And it really, as I started reading, opened up my awareness to how many chemicals and hormones are in our food industry. And it began a path of passion for me around health. And I lost 30 pounds as I changed my diet. I stopped eating junk food. And it led into me being vegan for a long time and being like hardcore activist and farmer and all of those pieces. And I realized that that wasn't sustainable economically. So I realized that pretty early on, as Christina noticed later with her husband. And my other passion had always been healing. So I started down the path of human healing, thinking that, okay, well, if I help people, then people will remember our connection to the web of life. Because when we're in suffering and struggle on an internal level, we come into that survival mode. And so I followed the path of learning acupuncture and Chinese medicine and herbalism and, all kinds of body work and qigong and everything that was working on how do we heal from the inside out. And it was always my passion to get deeper to the root of what is going on with the epidemic of illness. And in our country and in the world, but in the United States especially, there is such an epidemic of disease. And from that early awareness around the chemical inputs into our food industry, I knew that that was part of it. And I never had found a solution for how to like get it out. And postpartum with my daughter, I'm now 6 months pregnant, and my daughter's 5. But postpartum with my daughter, I was extremely depleted and emotionally, physically, mentally spent. And with all of my knowledge of herbs and nutrition and everything that I know, nothing seemed to be helping until Christina said to me, "Mama, why don't you try this and see how it does for you?" And I was like, desperate basically, and like, fine, I'm just tired of trying to think about what to put in my body. And at this point I was eating meat, I was trying so many different things for helping, and nothing seemed to make a difference until I got these superfoods in my body. And within 2 weeks my physical, emotional, and mental well-being completely transformed, and I felt vital again. And I was like, what is going on with this? Like, I eat really healthy already, I don't understand like what. And so my passion for going deeper to the root led me to understand and know more about like what's going on with my gut from that early on, how I laid the foundation of toxicity in my body, so that I had a lot of sickness and stomach pains and all of these things, and none of it actually fully transformed until I was able to receive these medicines, these plant medicines in my body, and clear out those old toxins from my youth. And at the same time, I had been, so it made a huge difference for me on a health level. And that was like, as a health practitioner, like, okay, I need to share this with people. But really also the prayers that it answered was for me as a, healer, in the client patient practitioner relationship. I am someone who loves community. And I was really at a place where I was calling in, like, how can I collaborate more with more people and have a wider impact beyond just each person and the one-on-one relationship. And I also was recognizing that I was going to have to choose between being in the office or being with my daughter. And that didn't that wasn't sitting with me for the first time in my life. I really felt that, like, restriction of, wow, like, I don't actually, the dollar per hour model isn't working for me, and I'm exhausted, and I don't have a lot of energy to show up for my clients in the way that I have in the past. And so I was praying for something that had a wider impact for the earth, bringing back that early passion for, like, our greater web of life and how we're connected, and also something that would be more sustainable for me and enable me to have more freedom so that I could be with her and really nurture her in ways that my parents weren't able to be with me because they were gone working all the time when I was little. And I really, as a child, I committed that I was not going to be that as a parent. I was going to be present with my child because I saw the impact that and the wounds that created. And, as a legacy, like, that is part of what we're handing down, is like the traumas. And so if I can reweave that and be present with my daughter, then hopefully I have more of an impact on the future generations, both in that way and in what we're doing collectively for health and well-being. So Purium came into my life as this answer to all of these prayers, for my health, for my economics, for my freedom, for something that had a bigger impact for the earth and for a wider community beyond just that, the few people that I could see each day relatively. So that's my story. And that's why I'm so passionate. And I love being in this community of people who are all passionate about not just human health, but planetary health, and health, including our physical, emotional, and financial health. And, I really felt that increase a lot once I became a parent. Like, oh, I'm not just like me floating through the world anymore. Like, how do I actually take care of a child? How do I take care of, like, that there's a lot of inequity and injustice in our economic system, and how can I be part of that change? So yeah, Purium's been a huge, huge answer for me, and this community that is so uplifting all the time, bringing me back whenever I might, like, need to go into a space. It's always here. And so I'm really grateful to you, Christina, for being my friend and mentor and inspiration every day, and to everyone who is part of this community. Thanks for inviting me to share.
Thank you so much, Leah. That was beautiful. Do you have to run, or can I ask you one question?
You can ask me one question, like 2 minutes.
So if money were no object, what would your life look like? What would you be doing? What is your future vision for your personal life and beyond?
Yeah, I mean, our vision is to be living on land in community, growing food, regenerating the soils and the earth, and having our children, I'm about to have two, so having alternative education, a nature connected education, and that there's, like, able to offer all of the gifts that I've cultivated in my life, retreats and education, and being part of something that is creating this new earth reality that isn't the technological reality, and finding that blend between, like, we're using technology as a tool, but we're really remembering our connection to all of life and cultivating that and sharing that with other people so that we stay connected. Yeah.
Mm, so beautiful. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that. And the reason I really wanted you to articulate that is because you and myself and Daniela and Erica, who are going to hear from, all so many people in this movement, and hundreds, thousands within this community, are creating similar visions, right? Like, have tapped into, like, this is what our children want. This is what the future generations want. This is how I'm going to be able to feel the most at home in this human body. And so here we are, having tapped into a financial stream that is helping us create that. And I know for myself, like, being on raw land and piddling around, hustling our butts to put all the pieces together, living in a carport for 2 years, and on and on, and how much infrastructure and resourced input it takes to build up that piece of land. Like, we were fine just as a couple living really simple, and I'm all about, like, being very, very mindful with our relationship with consumerism. And we tried that. We tried the simple path, and basically nobody else wanted to come and live as in the dirt as we were. And if we're talking about having a retreat center where people can feel safe, where people can feel taken care of, where there's space for the elders, for the multi generations, for the children, for clear, clean, safe pathways, all the things, it takes input, labor, and materials. And so watching this Purium economy get money into the pockets of the families who are sharing these incredible superfoods transformations people are having with other people, that means more and more parts of our globe are being resourced to be developed into these sanctuaries that we're all seeing in our mind's eye and working and creating with our hands. So I just really am just so grateful for you. I love you, Leah. You're incredible. And speaking of other parts of the world where where these resources are being channeled into creating another point of light for people to come together, to be nourished, to bring forth our gifts in song and dance and art and crafting and restoring and remembering ancient crafts from indigenous culture and perpetuating, just all of the beauty that being human is. I'd love to bring on Erica, who's doing the very same thing right here in Hawaii and is a mama of 5 and a cook and a farmer and works with herbs and flowers and so much art and joy and beauty in you, Mama. And we're excited to hear from you as well today. Thanks for taking the time.
Oh, thank you so much for inviting me to share. And it's really a pleasure and an honor to be here. I've been so touched by hearing yourself, Christina, and Leah as well. And even just being witness to my own personal transformation, as well as witnessing your lives flourish and blossom and truly transform over the years. It's like we've really formed family connections here. And I feel like a lot of the story that I've experienced mirrors many aspects of what have already been shared here. I could talk widely about what it was like to birth 5 children and be in depletion beyond what most people could ever fathom. And yet how this amazing life-changing nutrition brought me back to life on every level. But there was a few other things I really was inspired to share today, which speaks on this greater level to something that I've experienced transform in other aspects of my life, especially with the reality of how I'm living and how I'm moving through my path in service and my mission in the world. And when I think about how this relates to humanity at large and to the collective, it's really profound. And to talk a little bit about what that transformation looked like, I can share that for many, many years, I was in the nonstop hustle of trying to cultivate family businesses, of leading the life of a solo entrepreneur, and really trying to merge the path of living close to the land, raising a family, doing things that align with my core values, and yet carrying the weight of so many aspects and trying to live in the modern world and trying to be part of commerce. It was totally unsustainable and totally dysfunctional, to be honest. And it left me in a state of a failed relationship, much like what Christina was saying, the struggle that she and her husband were going through. And when I found myself a single mother with 5 children under the age of 10, and all the financial responsibility and all the physical responsibility presencing as a solo parent, I moved through incredible strain and just searching for solutions. I had no idea how I would provide for my family, and even went through chapters of being homeless and being stressed out and having a dream, but it was so far that I had no idea how I would ever totally transform the quality of the life I was living. And yet there was something really powerful for me about being a mother, that I never was willing to compromise being present with my children. I knew that they needed me in a way that no one else on the planet could provide that level of attention and care and meet their needs. And they were not being benefited by a mom who was constantly in the zone of like, I'm hustling, I'm trying to make money, I'm trying to do all the things, trying to network. And what happened when the nutrition brought me back to life physically, and then this opportunity to grow a residual income stream from home beside my children and from everywhere we went, whether it was to play sports, to be with other homeschooling families, to be on the go, to be at the beach. It was so incredible the way that it gave me an opportunity to do both of those roles, to be the breadwinner in my family and to be the mother, and to do it with ease and with support and with community. And that rapidly transformed my life. And I went from a place in 5 years of being in deep struggle to actually now being in a place of, oh, I'm just like, can't even believe when I can actually share that I now own a multi-generational family home, and we are cultivating an incredible family farm. And I have that feeling of rootedness and security and a foundation that is so rich and so replenishing and supportive that I actually now have the resources. I have the vision, I have the funding, I have the energy, I have the skill sets, and I have the passion to be a leader in my community, really serving others an opportunity to learn about these lifestyle practices, about how we create self-sustainable realities, how we actually are able to live in close harmony with the land and be of service to our community in this very impactful way. And it's been just like a long held dream come true and prayer answered, to be able to be in the daily practices that are restoring the health of our earth, that are allowing me to be present for this multi-generational healing, where there is ease, where there is that energetic reset, where there is that ability to start our days being totally present and guided by our hearts instead of by like stress and obligation and like having to like meet a timeline of demands that never allow for that experience of being fully present in life. And I have just noticed how powerful it is to actually be able to show up for this deeper work. And I feel like because of the current state of our world, with a high cost of living and a low economic income opportunity, and just like failing systems everywhere, so many humans, so many families are living in the kind of stress that doesn't allow them to have access to like that deeper personal nervous system reset and ease and deeper spiritual work, and the way that we can show up to really like continue the lineage in our family of presence, of togetherness, of healing on that deeper level. And yet when I hone in on the value of that, I really feel in my heart like this is walking the walk of the solutions that are changing life on the planet. This is what gives us the freedom and the sovereignty to wake up and unattach from all of these paradigms and systems that are crumbling, that are no longer serving us. And yet, as we transform ourselves and that feeling of freedom and liberation, and as we reconnect with the earth and how many incredible, natural, renewable, sustainable resources we have in our hands that help us heal, that help the earth heal, like it's this incredible like ascension to the world that we're creating for the future that eliminates so much radical suffering. And that's what I'm here for. And because now I'm in a state of energetic and abundant overflow, I'm able to move this forward into the world. I'm able to amplify my message through the digital world. I'm able to touch more lives in the physical world. And I'm able to just really be a voice that, you know, if I could take myself out of a state of total despair against all odds, overcome any adversity, and do it with 5 children by my side, and really accomplish even more in a year, in a day, in a lifetime than what most people could ever wrap their minds around. Like, I'm here to say you can do this too. right? And most single parents are just, they give up on their dreams. They don't think that they'll ever have this type of access to a huge win in their life. And yet these platforms that we have, these communities, these forums, this collective win-win model is able to really truly provide solutions that are hard to find, that are viable and profound in the transformation that is able to be fostered personally, collectively, and definitely on a planetary scale. So I'm just so proud and honored and grateful to share how this has impacted my life, and to be part of helping many others who are seeking solutions find this as well. So thank you very much for having me today.
Thank you so much, Erica. Wow, there's so much you said that I just, this idea that we are in an ascension, and that those of us who are cultivating it, we're visioning it, we're building towards it, we see it and we're like, woo, the future's looking bright. And this is giving us this way to say, like, hey, how many people can we bring with us? Like, how many more people can we bring? Because it is looking really good. And this gives us a model. And, we can only each one of us only grab so many people each, right? But together, and that's really this part of it being in a collective, is that, by myself reaching out and grabbing a few people, and they go and grab a few people, and they go and grab a few people, we can really make waves. Like, we can really move the needle in how many people are able to come home to themselves, to have that presence that you spoke of, Erica. And that's really what we're doing, is we're cultivating these lives to just have more presence. Whether it's on a farm or in an apartment in a city or wherever it is, at the end of the day, all that really matters is how present we can be with ourselves and the ones around us. And that's what we're here to. If you're here and you're, checking this out and a guest and curious if this is something for you, we are always looking to link arms with more people and support you. There's so much support, so much mentorship that overflows into other parts of your life, and it's part-time hours. Everybody that you've heard from today is very committed to our pleasure and our play. We have great self-care practices and recreational and arts that we're participating in as well, and relationships. And so this is something that is really about leverage. It's about taking those part-time hours and investing it, and families, right? We have all these families to take care of. So we're investing our part-time hours into creating something that we wouldn't be able to do with the dollar per hour model. And this is that leverage piece. And we're leveraging our relationships with each other as well. So it is pretty miraculous. It's amazing. Like, even 5 years in, it still is like, wow, it sounds too good to be true. And yet, the more that we just walk it, reach out for help, have fun, and just what all we're doing is we're asking, who out there is praying for this? Who is seeking a solution? And how can I connect with them and align and see if this is something that might resonate for them? We're not here to push anything on anyone. We're not here to sell or pitch or any of that. That's the beauty. We get to lay back and just invite, like, hey, do you want to come check this out? And just see if it feels in alignment for what you might be calling into your life. And if it is, I'd love to support you. And if it isn't, that's all good too. I love you anyway, and happy to stay connected. And maybe someone. And then often a lot of people will, in their own timing, come around and say, you know what, this is actually the missing piece that I've been looking for, and I'd love to try it out. So that's really what we do. We're in conversation. We're professional friends. And the way that if you are watching this replay, or you're here now and you're thinking, all right, this is pull. I'm feeling a pulse inside. Like, this is lighting me up, and it feels like something I might want to step into. You can get on to another more intimate call and get your questions answered, and really see how to be supported and the best way to get started. And essentially, for anybody who gets started, what you're doing is your only investment is your 30 days of superfoods. you're getting to invest in just flooding your body and saturating your cells with deep cellular, high purity nutrition. And with that, the business is a free component if you want the business. You can also just be a customer, or people you know might just be customers. But if you're wanting to share with other people and open up to the possibility of a stream of income that can be anything from covering the cost of your products all the way to being unlimited, 6, 7, 8-figure income that's residual and passive eventually, then let's connect, because the more people who are getting good money to do good work, the more we're going to create that world that we really are stoked to pass on to future generations. And we're all in this together. We all need each other. This is the community-based economy, and it's from the heart. So thank you, everybody, for taking the time to be here and share your stories and listen and share and pass this on to other people. And have yourselves a super beautiful day. Get with a person who shared this with you, and let's see what's possible.